Good morning, everybody. And this is the second time you've gotten to check out the Going Broadway podcast this week. Alex and Cole with you this morning. Cole, what's happening?
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the greatest wrestling podcast ever. If you missed Tuesday, you need to go back, listen to it, watch it, whatever it is that you listen or watch it on. You need to go back. It was a great time. We got a lot of great little wrestling nuggets out of that. If you don't know what we're talking about our interview with the one and only Ricky Morton. So you need to go check that out. And but that was Tuesday. We got a lot to talk about today, my man.
That was Tuesday. This is Thursday. If you're joining us this morning, you're going to want to stick with us throughout the entire podcast. A lot to talk about, a lot to cover. Before we jump in too far, we're a little overdue with a giveaway that we're going to do. First, we were going to do it last Thursday, got pressed for time. We were going to do it this past Tuesday, got pressed for time. So we're just going to kick it off with our Discord giveaway. So for those of you that saw the social media post during Ring of Honor Final Battle, I posted that if you joined our Discord server, that you were automatically entered into a belt giveaway. And we're going to do that belt giveaway right now. So just to recap real quick, we've got about 70 to 75 people that are entered. So everybody that was a part of it, past and present, is eligible. I've got the randomizer up and ready to go. And so let's do it.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. So without any further ado, just going to get rolling with this. And it's 10 clicks. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, real quick, just leave you in a little bit of suspense. The winner does have to contact us. I was very clear on the social media pages whenever I said the winner contacts us and they have to within 24 hours. The other thing is I'm only drawing for this once. So if the winner doesn't contact me within 24 hours, then we just won't have a winner for this time around. So that was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And our winner will be number 10, Natural One.
Natural One. I don't know who that is, but congrats.
So these are just Discord names. So if you are Natural, the number 1 on Discord, you are our winner. You have 24 hours to contact me through our Going Broadway Podcast Facebook page, preferably, but really any social media platform where you can send direct messages. I know you can on Twitter, Instagram. One way or another, I'll see it, I'll find it, and we'll get you hooked up. But again, you've only got 24 hours to claim your prize. So again, Natural, number 1, congratulations, you're the winner of that giveaway. But it's the Christmas season, so you're going to want to stick with us because I will guarantee you we will have at least one more giveaway on the podcast this morning. So I promise you unannounced ahead of time giveaways. So this is your heads up, if you will. All right. Before we jump in too much further, let's see who we got on this morning. We got Brian Steele. Good morning. Fear the Beard, our buddy Ryan on YouTube. Good morning. Steven, good morning. Jeremy Stoneberger, good morning. Merry Christmas to you as well. Our pal Lumpy, Chris over on YouTube, what's up? Bruce Jackson, good morning. Eugene, good morning. Jeremy Pickering, good morning. Marshall Mahoney, good morning. A YouTube name that I have no idea how to pronounce. Good morning. Chris Robinson, good morning. Good morning to everybody. Happy to have you here. We're excited to be here. I won't get too mushy yet. I might at the end of the podcast. We'll see. But rounding out the year in 2021, and we actually started this podcast. It was the very first Monday of January in 2020. So rounding out our second year, we're excited for what the third year of the Going Broadway podcast is going to bring. And stay tuned. We'll have some announcements about that as we progress through the podcast. But for now, you picked something to talk about.
I don't know how we can't address the elephant in the room of last night.
The predictable elephant in the room.
Yes. And I'm going to speak more on it a little bit later, but let's get the cat out of the bag. Kyle O'Reilly in AEW
Saw it coming.
I that was fast.
I'm actually surprised it wasn't last week.
Like, I actually thought that just maybe he might have waited like a month or, something, like taking just a little bit of time in between. But they were really quick last week. Got a surprise for you next week. Kyle O'Reilly is all elite. And, so it's an interesting dynamic. It looks like the storyline is taking a weird turn.
It did, yeah. That's the part that didn't make sense, is because like he promised the Bucks, I've got an awesome gift for you, and then it's like they decided to go a different route storyline wise, and it's like they're teasing the breakup, and Kenny probably returning and having Kenny and the Bucks against Adam Cole, and I'm going to call them Red Dragon because Kyle O'Reilly actually posted on his Twitter. He said Red Dragon is back. So, which I'm all for. I mean, that's WWE doesn't always do it, but I hate it whenever they, take guys that have established a name or a persona or whatever and then change it when they bring him in. I understand the business aspect of why, but doesn't mean I have to like it. I don't know. I'm okay with it, and this might be an unpopular opinion, at least based on what I've seen on social media, that just were like, oh, they signed someone else and their roster is already inflated as it is, which I don't disagree. They have a lot of guys that they need to either get rid of or do something with. Sorry, guys, I got a frog in my throat. But I mean, we'll see. It's one of those things that I don't like. I don't ever like to jump the gun on a debut, a new signing, whatever, until we have a larger sample size.
Right.
So we'll see. Now, while we're on the topic, and I bring this up because people on social media were just one end of the spectrum or the other. They said that Dynamite last night was super fun to watch, one of their best ones, definitely a rebound from the prior weeks or whatever. And then I've seen other people, they're just like, oh, it's the same old. It's Dynamite's no longer the program it was. I even saw someone that said, Wednesday nights used to be wrestling night for me, and now I just can't take it anymore. What did you think about last night overall?
Well, you said something interesting. Was Wednesday nights interesting because NXT was also on Wednesday nights, and it kind of created that dynamic of I'm excited to watch wrestling because was actually competing with one another, and there was that mindset of we have to top them. And we had certain weeks where we were like, I'm actually going to watch NXT first because they have a card that's a little bit more interesting to me tonight. And then the following week, it's like, no, I'm going to watch Dynamite first because they got a card that's more interesting. And so I'm going to put it like this. I've not been as interested in AEW probably since NXT has moved their night.
It is weird that it seems like they kind of pulled back on the reins a little bit as far as, I don't want to say they've gotten lazy, but that's just how it feels. And by the way, I'm referring to AEW. It just, ever since NXT moved to Tuesday nights, pre 2.0,
right?
It just felt lackluster. I will say this: I would feel like Dynamite last night would have felt bigger, would have felt better if they would have just reversed they should have had the 6-man tag open the card, and then they should have had Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole main event and have Kyle O'Reilly debut, and that be like your big your big payoff for the program. And people were just like raving that, oh, that was a great way to start the show, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I don't disagree. You could have had a good start to your program by opening up with that 6-man tag if you want to, do that, hard, fast, in your face type opener. It feels like the debut was underwhelming because it opened up the show.
Yeah, I gotta hold my thoughts on the Kyle O'Reilly stuff.
That's fine. I'm just
for a little bit. But
you're good.
As far as your question, was I entertained altogether last night? Last night was probably the first night in a while that I got on kind of excited to watch AEW. Not for any reason, not because I saw the card or anything and it was like, oh, that's a great card. It's just it was a week where I was like, okay, I'm actually kind of excited. I'm home tonight. I usually have church on Wednesday nights, but I didn't last night. So it was the first night in a long time. I was like, I can just sit down and enjoy this and not have to be up until, midnight or 1 in the morning trying to get caught up on wrestling before our show.
And it's a different dynamic, too. I mean, anytime you watch, and I've said this before, wrestling, any sporting event, watching it live as opposed to, watching the DVR version, it's a mental thing because even if you've not been spoiled with the results, it's just one of those things in your mind's like, well, this has already happened already, so I can't get excited with anyone because the crowd there, it's already happened. So
well, and it's hard because we're in so many wrestling groups and have so many wrestling friends and all this stuff that somebody's bound to text you or post something or whatever, and if you just get on Facebook for a second, it's like boom, like I just had everything ruined for me.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of one of the negatives. Overall, I thought the show was like what we would rip into Monday Night Raw for. I thought it was. I
agree.
I thought
that's
it was
a good assessment.
It was an average at best show that had a match or two that was like, okay, that's an intriguing dynamic or match or whatever. CM Punk coming out with the Sting face paint on and Sting having CM Punk's logo on his face. Like that was all kind of cool little.
I didn't understand Darby's face paint. I mean, I understood what it was. It was supposed to be half of Crow Sting, but why was it pink?
Maybe it was like also going back to like his real colorful paint as well, but
I don't know. If that was what they were trying to do, I didn't pick up on it because obviously Punk was Surfer Sting, even down to the trunks and everything, which I thought was cool. I mean, I think you can kind of tell that Punk probably did the face paint himself, and he really should have had someone else do it because you could tell enough it was supposed to be Surfer Sting, but Surfer Sting had still greater coverage with the paint, and the design wasn't. Anyway, it's neither here nor there.
It was a nice paid homage to moment, but outside of that, I agree. I thought Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole put on a better match in general. Even if Kyle O'Reilly had not debuted or whatever, I thought that was a better match and probably would have been their match of the night if I had to pick one out of what happened that night. So now it was okay.
I read a rumor, and I don't know how much validity, if any, there is to this, but if you've noticed, Adam Cole is in the opener of a lot of Dynamites and Rampages. Not all of them, but a lot of times he is their opener or...
Well, he's a crowd pop.
Yeah.
His music alone is a crowd pop. So I'm curious if that's to kind of always...
Well, I read that he's actually, again, rumor, don't know if it's true or not. It may have zero factual implications. But I read that he is actually helping to do learning the production side backstage as well. So I don't know if that's true, how relevant that might be.
Get his match out of the way and then let me sit down and...
Yeah, well, kind of. I don't know the ins and outs of who does what backstage, but I mean, I know that the Bucks and Cody are EVPs, and I know that, they'll sit at the monitors and things like that. I don't know if they'll be in people's ears as far as to do this or say that or whatever, but that's kind of what the gist I got with the rumor I read, that if that's why Cole's going on first, maybe that's part of the reason. I don't know. I mean, it would make sense, but it was just worth bringing up. So, what else can we talk about? Okay, I want to bring this up. NXT is having a unification match. Do you see this?
I think this is great.
I don't mind it, but does that mean they're phasing out the Cruiserweight title, I'm guessing?
Which was rumored already, and that's what made everybody nervous with the Joe Gacy storyline at, what was that, War Games.
Yeah.
They were nervous that they were going to put it on Joe Gacy, and then Joe Gacy was going to say this belt doesn't represent everybody, it's not inclusive or whatever, so we got to get rid of it. And that was kind of the storyline everybody thought they were going to go with, which thank God they didn't. I actually like this. First off, Roderick Strong versus Carmelo Hayes should be a banger of a match. If they do it right, if everything goes according to plan, that match should be a killer match to watch. Those two both can go. And my hope is that Carmelo Hayes wins this match. I'm really hoping they get the Cruiserweight title off of Roderick Strong, get Carmelo Hayes a big win or whatever, and then you catapult Roderick Strong straight to the main title picture. Let's get Roderick Strong. Let's get Diamond Mine running NXT 2.0, in my opinion. So I'm thinking Roderick Strong, main champion. I'm thinking the Creed brothers, NXT tag champions. I'm thinking, what's their girl's name? She's a boss. I mean, she's.
I know what you're talking about, but
let her go be, at least in the women's title picture. I don't know if she can be the one to beat Mandy Rose. It might take a little while to build that up, but let her get in the women's title picture. I don't know if they'll add somebody, if they'll let that big trainer now be North American champion. I don't know, but let Diamond Mine go run NXT. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be a great match, but I love how they're doing it. If you're going to phase out the Cruiserweight title, this is the way to do it. I like the unification match. I like that's the way they're going with it.
So do you think they throw Roderick Strong into the main NXT title picture?
I think you have to.
I mean, not necessarily win it, but at least he's there. I wouldn't disagree with that, but I'm saying they're going to put it on Braun Breaker at some point.
Braun Breaker is going to get catapulted into the main roster quickly. I don't see Braun Breaker being in NXT for a whole year. I'm just being real.
So you think he might actually go to the main roster and not even win the...
I'm not saying that. I'm saying his title reign may not be very long. If he here's my thoughts, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but I think he beats Ciampa for the belt here at New Year's Evil, if that's what they're calling it.
Yeah.
Which,
by the way, we're not going to do predictions for that because they've only announced like 3 matches. That's so. If you noticed on our tiles on the right, we're not doing predictions for that. That's why.
I think he'll win that match there. I think Roderick Strong, if they want to prolong it a little bit, Roderick Strong should then win the North American title. He's got to be a main guy. Diamond Mine is a cool faction. It's got a lot of great talent in it. But you got to give Roderick Strong the belt so he can elevate all of those guys around him.
The match has me intrigued because they just put it on Carmelo Hayes.
Right.
So,
so it's one of those moments where I'm like, I'm a little confused about timing, and some of that stuff could have switched and changed.
Could also be like a double DQ kind of
direct
deal.
Right. So, but I think Roderick Strong's got to get catapulted into the main title. One, it's the only title he hasn't won in NXT.
Yeah. So
he's one of their top guys. He still, to me, fits the 2.0 mold, too. I like what they're doing with him because he's rebranded.
Yeah.
And I'm digging that. So I think you got to catapult him up there. And even if it's a long story-building moment between him and Braun Breaker to where he beats Braun Breaker eventually and they don't have the match for a while, I'm good with it. But I would not be shocked if we see Braun Breaker debut on Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania.
That'd be one of the quickest NXT stints ever.
I mean, Ricochet, someone like he was only in NXT for like 3 months, 4 months. The other guys have gone. I mean, Karrion Kross went through pretty quick. I know some of these guys have been released. I'm just saying they saw something. Yeah. I could see Braun Breaker getting. I mean, look how quickly they catapulted him to the title picture in NXT. We never saw this guy on TV in his very first week there. He's challenging for the NXT title. So
yeah.
I think they really have all their cards on Braun Breaker. We said in the next couple of years we could see him being the top star. I wouldn't be shocked if it's in the next 2 years.
Probably so.
I could see them catapulting him straight in. He'll be their big debut on Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania, and you will see him have a really great year. Maybe not a title winner as far as the main title, but you'll see him as IC or United States champion, and he'll start to build his resume.
While we're on the subject of NXT, and this will probably be a quick conversation, but am I the only one that was kind of like, who cares about AJ on NXT?
I wouldn't say I don't care. I thought it was out of left field, if that makes sense. It didn't. This is twice now that I felt like they've done this with AJ Styles. If you want to bring AJ Styles into NXT, just do it.
Yeah.
I'm cool with AJ Styles. First off, it's something AJ hasn't done. AJ never went to NXT. AJ's never been down there other than the one time with the Good Brothers and whatnot. He's not been down there to really feud with some of these talented guys.
Right.
If they were going to bring him in, I wish they would have brought him in before the Braun Breaker stuff happened and let him and like Ciampa go at each other for a title match or something. Or bring him in during War Games and let him join the OGs or whatever. Even though he was not an NXT OG, he is the OG. So it's like I would have been more okay with something like that. Him versus Grayson Waller. The thing that scares me is Grayson Waller said something about taking on the name The Phenomenal One or The Phenomenal Grayson Waller. I'm nervous that they're going to do a match or something that gives him the right to call himself that, and AJ's going to retire that. I hope not. That is like literally one of my favorite things about AJ is AJ's The Phenomenal AJ Styles. Like I can't not call him that. So I'm interested to see why they're doing it. Obviously, they're trying to give Grayson Waller a rub. And I'll say this, Grayson Waller is impressing me. His promos have been good. He's getting heat like crazy. He's doing what he needs to do as a heel. He's got promise, but it's weird that they're pairing him up with AJ Styles of all people. Like, that to me is a way to bury somebody, not a way to get somebody over.
Here's my issue with it. They basically take the AJ Omos feud situation, whatever. They sped up the
breakup, the
breakup story, payoff match, whatever. We're getting the match next week, and then from what I've read, that's going to be the end of their feud because they want both of those guys to have their big feud payoff, whatever, completed so they can start storylines leading up to Rumble and WrestleMania. If this feud with Grayson Waller is AJ's feud going into...
I don't see that.
Well, here, that's just it. It's one of two things. Either it is, and it's underwhelming, in my opinion, or two, it isn't. But if it's not, then what's the point of this other than just to get the the rating because football was on Tuesday night also?
I actually look at it like this: out of Omos and AJ, who's the face? Because I struggled to see that when they had the little split, because like Omos was the one that didn't tag and kind of did the heel like thing.
Yeah,
but AJ's such a good heel that it's like, I had a hard time differentiating who was supposed to be who. When they fight, I don't see people cheering for Omos. I just don't. So if their goal was to make Omos a heel or a face, I think they failed at that. I think you got to turn AJ Styles face. How do you turn AJ Styles face, though, when on TV he's consistently been one of their best heels on TV? You take him down to NXT and you have him feud with a guy that everybody hates. Because Grayson Waller, he beat up Johnny Gargano. He's gone after Dexter Lumis. He's being this cocky little arrogant, punk on social media and whatnot. So you do this feud to kind of get AJ Styles the cheers again, because people are going to watch NXT to see AJ Styles. He is a draw. You're going to get the cheers for AJ Styles again. You're going to kind of get it. And it's a quick one-off thing to do to kind of get him back on a face run. And I'm kind of hoping that's where they're headed with this. If you want Omos to be successful, he's got to be a heel. There is no way people are going to cheer for that man as a face. I just don't see it.
I don't either.
People are not sold on him the way that... And this guy's... Here's the thing. I'm trying to get behind Omos, and maybe it's the name. Maybe it was the way he was brought in. I don't know. I'm just not sold on him yet, but he's got an endorsement by The Undertaker.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. So... when The Undertaker's saying, watch out for this kid, watch out for this guy, I'm trying to give this guy a chance to prove to me that he is what Undertaker saw.
Yeah.
But so far, and some of that's bad booking, some of that's look, some of that's he can't really cut a promo, so he needs a mic guy, which is why he was with Styles.
Well, I will say this. If you go back and watch Undertaker's early stuff before he was Undertaker, like whenever he was Mean Mark in WCW, whenever he was... whatever his name was in Memphis, it's just escaping me for whatever reason. If you're watching us and comment in the chat if you remember his name in Memphis, not a whole lot different. I mean, awful on the mic or non-existent on the mic. I mean, super green, but he obviously came around. He obviously did just fine. So we'll see.
I mean, he compared Omos to like Andre the
Giant, yeah.
He said, we'll never get another Andre the Giant, but if we're going to get anything close, it's Omos. And I'm like, man, we've had, and I'm not trying to say these guys were good or bad, but we've had guys like the Great Khali come through that had that same kind of demeanor, right? Like super tall, big. They tried to sell him as this monster of a guy, Braun Strowman, another big guy that came in, monster among men title. So like we've had Undertaker, we've had Kane, like we've gone through, and none of those guys have ever what we would say reached the level of Andre the Giant. And then here you come with Undertaker saying this guy's going to be the closest thing. I don't know. I'm having a hard time. I'm very nervous. Early Rumble prediction, or thought I should say. I really hope he's not the guy to win the Rumble. That's a scary thought to me because I just don't see him being world champion. I don't know if I see him being in that title picture. Like, if you couldn't make it work with Braun Strowman, I don't know how you're going to do it with this guy. So I'm a little on the fence with that whole storyline and that whole dynamic. I was cool with him as a bodyguard and as like somebody using him and whatnot. That was interesting to me. He's not bad in the ring. We've been in at least content with his ability, but I just don't know if I see like a 5-star match. Like, name a 5-star match he could have with somebody. I just don't know if I see that.
But in all fairness, how many 5-star matches did Andre the Giant have? How many 5-star matches did Undertaker have that wasn't with Shawn Michaels?
Yeah, but let's back it up. Wrestling's changed since Andre the Giant. Wrestling's changed since those days. So now we have to look at it from where wrestling's at now. I don't know if Omos fits that mold. I'm struggling with that. Like, and I don't even know who you pair him with where that match is going to be good. Omos versus Reigns? Like, is Omos going to be the guy that they believe can dethrone Reigns? Whoever is going to be champion on Raw's side of it? Yeah. Is he the guy that's going to lead you into through 2022? I just don't know. So,
yeah. Let's move on with the podcast. Who do you got for Wrestler of the Week?
Oh, man. This week was hard for me because there really wasn't a whole lot to choose from.
There wasn't much that stood out.
I just because I'm entertained by them, I'm going to say it's a tie for me with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. I've been entertained with the dynamic of that storyline.
Yeah.
The history that those two guys have. Like, I'm actually rooting for them to become a tag team right now. Like,
so that's a good segue into so I was going to pick Kevin Owens.
Okay.
And it was a nice segue into what I was going to mention. They need to bring back, you guys remember the Austin Triple H 2-man power trip? They need to do something similar to that, to where they have all the belts.
Okay. Yeah, I could get on board that. One, Kevin Owens deserves that. He and now that he's signed, long term, you can make that happen. I like and Ricky Morton, something he said during our podcast, and they've already been kind of doing this, and I just didn't realize it. I'm looking for those little things. I'm looking for those little things in the story that elevate the story, that take it to the next level. And y'all need to go watch that podcast because he really breaks down some of the little things and things that just could take a story to the next level. And like this past week on Raw, when they got booked for that tag match against Bobby Lashley and Big E, and Kevin and Seth are Kevin's like, oh, I see where this is going. And he's like kind of hitting his head and stuff. And Seth's like shocked, like he doesn't know what's going to happen. And then Seth kind of walks off mad. And Kevin's like, wait, I think we should, have a game plan, or like, and it's just funny. But it's like those little things that are selling me on the storyline. That, to me, the two main title pictures right now on Raw and SmackDown are the best thing in wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying those storylines. Brock Lesnar's got me rolling every single week. And he's...
Who had on their bingo card to conclude 2021 that Brock Lesnar was going to be your comic relief for WWE?
It's the most entertaining Brock Lesnar storyline we've had since he's been like returned to wrestling.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it. He's refreshing. It's something new for Brock Lesnar. So I'm enjoying that storyline and all the dynamics that they have. I love the Fatal 4-Way concept for Big E right now because you got all these moving pieces and things going around. You got Bobby Lashley and MVP kind of going at each other, and it just entertaining stuff is happening in those main title pictures. But I have to go with that dynamic between those two. It's fun to watch.
I agree.
What a miscarriage of justice!
It's been a while since we've done this segment, so I thought I'd bring it back. And I mentioned that was a nice segue into this. My first miscarriage of justice is that we haven't gotten this KO, that we didn't get this KO Seth Rollins tandem sooner. Just because it's super entertaining. It's not like it's overly hokey, if that makes sense. To the point where, just equating something hokey to the Bucks coming out wearing grandma clothes. But it's funny, it's entertaining. It's not like it's over the top cheesy, but it's just enough to make you laugh, but also be intrigued to be like, I want to see more of this.
Well, and the interesting part of this whole thing is, one, you got two guys who can work a mic, two guys who are phenomenal in-ring workers, two guys who could be world champion, but they're not right now, and you kind of need them to stay away from that picture if you're wanting Big E to be champion, or you're wanting this guy or that person to be in the title picture.
Right.
You got to have stuff for them to do. This is one of those refreshing moments, kind of like Team Hell No. All right? It reminds me of that dynamic of these two guys alone on singles wrestling are great on their own. But when you bring them together and you kind of have that dynamic of we can't really work together, but we can work together, and one's doing their own thing, but they're really talented and whatnot, it's just refreshing. And we always talk about this. It seems like they don't know how to do tag team wrestling anymore. They have great tag teams. Don't get me wrong. WWE has a lot of great tag teams and potentially great tag teams. But it's like when it comes to long-term storytelling and feuds and whatnot, it's like we don't know how to keep something going.
Right.
And so this is like Team Hell No was that refreshing moment in that era where we were like, okay, they're making the tag division fun to watch again. They're kind of elevating some of these other tag teams and making those storylines fun. I believe RK Bro is doing that somewhat right now even, is that they're kind of helping some of the already established tag teams get over and get on TV and make some creative dynamics at least.
Right.
I like this idea with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, if they can continue to build on it, that they would be that refreshing thing on Raw to kind of keep the tag division interesting while they feud other single stars as they're going along. So, but I agree with you. I think that that's a huge miscarriage of justice, and I'm gonna give you one of mine.
Go for it.
I held off on saying this because I wanted to use it during this segment. I think Kyle O'Reilly's return or debut or whatever you want to call it is a miscarriage of justice.
Okay.
One, we like the pop, right? Everybody wants a pop. And this is one of my big complaints, I guess, if I was to have, excuse me, a complaint about AEW is a lot of what makes them exciting to watch is that we're always waiting for the next big pop.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that you get an overinflated roster with too many guys and you don't know what to do with them. But we kind of expected these. We said it last week. We expected a surprise to be.
Keep talking. I don't mean to interrupt you. Keep talking. I got to step out for like 1 minute. I promise I'll be right back.
We expected the surprise to be Kyle O'Reilly. We expected him to show up in AEW. Again, I said earlier, I didn't expect it to be so quickly. It felt really quick. But I guess it felt underwhelming. And I don't know if you guys, who watched last night and saw how it went down, it just was a very underwhelming thing for me, especially where at the end of NXT, they did all this work, and Adam Cole even spoke about this. He wanted to finish his feud with Kyle O'Reilly to make sure that it put Kyle O'Reilly over, and, he was going to be this big single star and, whatever. All the work that was done to make Kyle O'Reilly a believable draw, if you will, a believable single star, I felt like got washed away last night for me. It just felt so underwhelming to slide into the ring and, do his little combo thing and help Adam Cole get the win. And then, they did their little slide thing, their high-low tag move with him and Bobby Fish. I'm not mad that he's in AEW. I just wish they would have done it better. And Alex, mentioned earlier, maybe that's having that be the main event of the card and having Kyle O'Reilly debut at the end of the show, or what I don't know. he should have had his own music, and his music should have hit, and he should have came out. And because people know, like, build off the storyline from another company. Why can't you do that? You name drop that company every single week. You diss that company as much as you can. You know, and they kind of teased it, but then it didn't make sense. Have Kyle O'Reilly come down, have his music hit, have him come down the ring, have him stare Adam Cole in the face, and then have him attack Orange Cassidy. And let that be the surprise if that's the case. But Kyle O'Reilly slips into the ring. He beats up Orange Cassidy. Adam Cole, you know, whatever, gets the win. But then they get in each other's face like he didn't know Kyle O'Reilly was coming. And then, you know, best friends come down, whatever. They attack each other. It's the whole thing happened. And next thing you know, Kyle O'Reilly's standing next to Adam Cole. Here comes the Young Bucks. And Adam Cole's like, yeah, he's the surprise. And I'm like, you just acted like you didn't know he was even coming. Like, you were shocked. I thought that if he was the surprise, let Kyle O'Reilly's music hit, let him come down to the ring, let it be this suspenseful moment. I'm going to catch Alex up on what I'm saying here.
Sorry, guys.
So I felt like his debut was underwhelming. He, you know, it just kind of came into the ring, and that was it. And it got really confusing because we talked about how he was the surprise. But then what was the whole little moment where him and Adam Cole headbutted each other and kind of got in each other's face, like, you know, like they were kind of going to continue their storyline from NXT and their heat there. Then the best friends come out, they attack each other. And then next thing you know, Kyle O'Reilly's standing next to Adam Cole, and Adam Cole's kind of mouthing to the Young Bucks, yeah, he's the surprise. That didn't make sense to me.
The whole thing didn't make sense.
I think that if you wanted to do Kyle, and I talked about how Adam Cole was very big in his interview about when he left NXT, he wanted to make sure Kyle O'Reilly was built up. That feud had to end with Kyle O'Reilly being the top dog. We wanted to make sure he looked strong and everything. And I feel like the way they did this debut makes Kyle O'Reilly go right back to tag team wrestler.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what they wanted. I don't know. But if it was me, I would have, first off, had Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole in the main event. And then let it be this really great match. And then Kyle O'Reilly's music, whatever it is, whatever it's going to be, hits. Kyle O'Reilly on the screen. He comes down. You're kind of playing off of NXT and their feud in NXT.
Yeah.
Why not? You diss that company every single week on TV. Why not have it be like, we don't know if this is Adam Cole's surprise or not? They kind of lock eyes and stuff. They kind of get mad at each other. And then Adam Cole kind of laughs for whatever as Orange Cassidy's getting up. And Kyle O'Reilly attacks him. And Bobby Fish and him do the high-low, and everything goes down. Then the Young Bucks come out, and, like, now they're confused. And he was like, yeah, that's right. And, like, be pumped about it. Like, Kyle O'Reilly is the surprise. Like, he's going to benefit us and all this stuff. And now the Young Bucks are confused. Like, no, like, we're not happy about this. And now it builds that storyline. But it left me with so many questions. I was like, how are you going to bring in one of the top free agents that are out there and make him look like he was just any Joe Schmo off the street? Like, I was very underwhelmed with it, and I think it's a miscarriage and a disservice to Kyle O'Reilly.
The whole execution of it was confusing. They should have concluded the program with this. They should have done something similar to what you're describing, and rather than Adam Cole kind of be like hot at the Bucks and, you know, being like, yeah, this is your gift, you know, almost kind of like a screw you mentality. But you should have been like you said, Adam Cole should have been like all excited and pumped up and, you know, trying to push the Bucks into believing that, you know, this is going to benefit us. This is going to, you know, this is your gift, you know, be happy or whatever. And instead it was like this weird dynamic that, again, the whole execution didn't make sense. I mean, they teased the continuing the feud after Orange Cassidy gets attacked, and it's like, I don't know. The execution of it, I don't even mind the storyline.
Right.
It's the execution of said storylines that, quite frankly, I would say AW is failing in. Across, I mean, not just this, I mean, across the board.
I mean, Kyle O'Reilly's walking out to Adam Cole's music.
Yeah.
Like, as they're leaving, like, there's no big payoff. He's the biggest free agent outside of maybe Johnny Gargano. I still think Kyle O'Reilly was the more intriguing signing because of all the connections.
Yeah.
but nothing. Bobby Fish even got his own music and debut. And I know the timings were different, but I'm confused. Now, this does create an interesting dynamic because if we are thinking there's going to be a 6-man title at some point, now you have the idea of splitting Adam Cole away from them earlier than expected. Instead of doing Super Click as the first, 6-man tag, now you can do Kenny Omega with the Young Bucks. You can do Adam Cole with Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. You can do Jurassic Express with Christian Cage because it doesn't look like that's ending anytime soon. You can do Best Friends. You can do Inner Circle. You can do Pinnacle, like Lucha Bros and Pac. Like they're building enough 6-man teams, and ROH is right around the corner. You could be seeing teams like Shane Taylor Promotions coming in, Control Your Narrative coming in. Like there's other teams that could be coming in and really making that picture look good. And with their inflated roster already, you need those 6-man tag belts at this point. You need to have feuds where it includes way more people because it's getting to the point where it's like, what's going on here?
I got to throw this out. I saw something really funny on social media that they created the graphic and everything and they named them the Uncontested Age.
The Uncontested Age? Who's this for?
Adam Cole, O'Reilly, and Fish. Undisputed Era, Uncontested Age.
You lost me because I didn't know who we were talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's how AEW does their storylines.
Right. Yeah. Very true.
But don't see what I did there. But no, I agree. It was the whole execution, the timing of it, where they put it on the card. I didn't like it. So, actually, guys, I had another one. Cole probably had more, but I want to get into.
Just when they think they got the answers, I change the questions.
I want to get us into some fan mail. I feel like lately we haven't given you guys a whole lot of time to ask questions and just shoot the breeze with us. So it's the last show of the year. I want to give you guys a chance to ask questions, interact with us a little bit. So
I actually had a question I want to take.
Go for it.
And
so, guys, get your questions in. We'll spend a substantial more amount of time on this than we usually do / than we have in the past. And by the way, guys, I apologize about that. We pride ourselves on interacting with you guys. And so going into the new year, I do want to try to a lot more time to like our fan mail segments as well as just our general Q&A shows. So yeah, go ahead.
I'm trying to find who asked the question though, because I want to give them.
While you're looking for it, Chris Robinson asks, how many factions does AEW need? Depends on who you ask.
It depends on what they're doing. I'm okay with more factions if they are going to do the 6-man titles because you got to have more than 4. It's got to have such a dynamic that there's more than just 4 factions to pass those belts around. That's why the women tag belts in WWE don't work because they don't have enough women's tag teams to even make them relevant. Who are the women tag team? Carmella and Zelina?
Carmella and Zelina, yeah.
Yeah, 2 thrown together talents. Maybe you can remember who asked this.
Yeah, I was just say, just ask the question as best as you can remember, and I might have seen it.
Well, I remember the question. I just don't remember. Oh, here it is. Travis Thompson. He says, do you guys think AEW killed ROH? And I think this is an interesting question because I think it's a deeper rooted question than just like.
Yeah, my quick answer is no, but when you think about it, I mean, this isn't a Brett screwed Brett kind of thing, but I kind of think that Ring of Honor killed Ring of Honor. Now, I will elaborate by saying, I'll phrase it this way. I think Ring of Honor should have negotiated more of a, I don't even know what the word is. So with the All-In pay-per-view they did in 2018, the rumor is Ring of Honor could have, should have, whatever words you want to put with it, should have made more off that All-In event. I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know what the rev splits were. I know zero aspects of the business side as far as All-In and how everything was divvied up. But I've read that they should have made a ton more as like from a company standpoint. And I don't know if it's because they didn't ask for more, what was negotiated. I don't know, but and I'm not saying that would have saved Ring of Honor, but I would pinpoint that event to the slow decline of Ring of Honor because, A, financially, again, from what I've read, they should have gotten more, could have gotten more, whatever. B, that led to Cody, the Bucks, Omega, etc., figuring out that, oh, well, we can do this on our own. We can form our own company. So you could say indirectly AEW contributed to Ring of Honor. They're, maybe not necessarily going out of business because the rumor is that they're still coming back in April. You can definitely say they contributed to the decline just by sheer fact that those guys never wrestled for Ring of Honor again, and those were your draws.
I'm actually going to say they unintentionally did cause it. And the reason why is, and I'm not just going to even say for ROH, I'm going to say for the indie scene, if we want to call it that, or the lower tier of promotional wrestling, if we want to, give it a title.
Yeah.
AEW proved to everybody that everybody can do their own thing.
Right.
That is, I think, what we've gotten out of AEW is that everybody can be in control. I hate to use the thing, control your narrative, but that's kind of the premise I'm getting to here. Everyone can be in charge of their character and their storyline, and everybody can do their own Twitches and their own shows and gaming channels and third-party things to create their own revenue and have their own side ventures and all this different stuff. Everybody, it's a magical utopia of wrestling that you can do whatever you want and everyone can be a star and everybody can be successful.
Everyone can make money
doing this. And here's the problem is that not everybody is a star. Not everybody is making it. Not everybody is blowing up their stuff. Who are the ones doing it? The people that already had a platform. Yeah. The people that already done enough for people to know who they are and make money off of doing all the third-party ventures. Could Peter Avalon go and do all the things that Adam Cole's doing? Absolutely not. No way that people would get that much behind it the same way.
But there are still people, I mean, to your point, I agree, but there are still people that, they'll have their Twitch channels. Like I know that a lot of AEW have their own Twitch channels. I know that Leva Bates does. I know that the Bunny has one.
Right.
Cutler, all those.
But with everybody doing that too, again, you flood the market. Now that I can't watch everybody's Twitch stream.
Well,
I can't subscribe to everybody's Twitch stream. You know what I mean? And it gets to the point where everybody's doing the same thing. This is what I actually love about WWE is that they don't let everybody do the same thing. Not everybody has the same, our Truth gets the permission to be on TikTok and do all his things. That's good for WWE, but if everyone got to do that, then it overshadows the people they want to have that platform and they want to represent them in that way. And so I struggle with, I think AEW unintentionally created this dynamic because now it's the destination for everybody. Everybody wants to. Jay Lethal, we talked about it. He said it basically on Talk is Jericho that he's always pretty much wanted to go to AEW, even while he was ROH.
Which is contrary to what he said on our podcast, but that's neither here nor there.
He wanted to go AEW, and the more and more you're seeing it, how many ROH stars did Tony Khan say was interested in? A handful. That to me tells me there was a lot of AEW or ROH stars that were interested in signing with AEW. Not mad that they are. I'm just saying, how come there's not more that are interested in going to WWE? How come there's not more that are interested in going to Impact or NWA or any of those other places? It's because AEW has sold the narrative and has a lot of backstage talent that's saying, it's great here. Everyone's happy and everything's great and yada, 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 yada. And now all these other companies are competing with a utopia mindset. Well, ROH doesn't sell as many pay-per-views, or it's not on TV like AEW is, or my reach isn't the same, and all this other stuff. And now AEW's made this platform of do whatever you want, whenever you want, basically, all this stuff, and you can be happy doing wrestling, making money, and you can do all these other third-party things. I think that is dangerous. It was dangerous to ROH because they had a lot of talent that would fit the mold there in AEW, but it's also dangerous to Impact. It's dangerous to NWA. It's dangerous to GCW and all these other. I don't think it's really dangerous to New Japan, but it's dangerous to all the other promotions.
Yeah. And I know he's commenting this in jest. He even said kidding, but Chris says Lethal played you guys. He promised to be back in December. He's a liar. Well, I will say this: Jay Lethal is still talking to me, but I have to go through AEW now if I want to get him on the podcast. And I'll just say this: and I actually posted something on our Twitter yesterday about like if we're trying to book somebody for our podcast, if you're trying to reach out to a representative or someone's representation, don't treat people like crap. Because it really leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Because I will say this, and this doesn't apply to Jay Lethal by any means, but let's put it this way: anybody that we have on from AEW, I probably won't be going through the guy I've been talking to. So I'll leave it at that. But if we have Jay Lethal back on, I'll have to pull some strings and just talk with him directly. So we'll see. I'd love to have him back on. He has said he would love to be back on. But it's just, Cole and I were talking about this privately. It's really ironic for a company that prides themselves in, letting people have freedom to do whatever they want. It's like, you really have to book somebody for an hour podcast, but you're letting them do 3, 4, 5 hour Twitch streams, which, hey, whatever. I don't know. It's just very contradictory.
I don't want to get on my soapbox with it.
Yeah, that's why I stopped there.
It's not really public knowledge to throw out there. It is interesting. Like I said, it's that utopia mindset of you can do this, but it's never the reality. Any company, WWE, AEW, Impact, you can name it. They got to have somewhat of control of certain things, because if they don't, again, everybody's doing their own thing, and then nobody is able to do what your actual vision is to progress your company or progress storylines or progress this and progress that. If you're not in sync, it won't work.
Yeah.
And so I get it to an extent, but it is super frustrating, especially with a guy like Jay Lethal, where we've had him on the show. It was a great show. He obviously loved being on the show. He
arguably our most fun podcast that we've had.
And then to be told, we got to work this out and work that out and make it more complicated than it has to be. Our show is an hour and a half, 2 hours tops. And usually when we do those interviews, we keep them an hour to an hour and a half.
And we've even said, well, we're not even married to Thursdays. We've done on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays. I think actually we started out this podcast doing Mondays and Thursday shows. So we've done podcasts every day of the week. It's not like we have to do a Thursday morning.
And we're open to even pre-recording them and airing them at another time if it doesn't work to go live. So it is frustrating, but I digress. I don't want to get on my soapbox because I could say a lot if I wanted to.
I'll just read it because it's a question. Lazy Cat Mane from Twitch says, "Do you like Gucci Mane?" I think that's a rapper, and my answer is no because I don't know.
What does that have to do with the
I don't know. This is a wrestling podcast, guys.
Is he wrestling?
That's why I asked, because I know we just had Bad Bunny on WrestleMania and all that stuff.
The Migos, I think, are performing at day one.
I don't know. Moving along, Lumpy asks, "Are they wasting Malachi Black? Looks like he is feuding with the Varsity Blondes." I won't go into a super long-winded answer, but my quick answer is yes. But with I don't want to reveal. Gosh, how can I say this without? I'll just say this. And I'll make one statement and I'll leave it at that. I hope he goes for the TNT title now.
Yeah, and
that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring that up because it's technically not an aired match yet.
That's why I'm.
But the cat's out of bag. I saw it on Facebook already. So
yeah, but maybe some people watching us haven't seen it.
Just know. Watch Rampage this Friday. You'll know what we're talking about.
But yeah, my quick answer is yes. I don't know. I don't see any. I'm sorry. Big props and mad respect to Brian Pillman Jr. just for being in the business and following in his father's footsteps. I think he needs to be on his own. I hate this tag team, the Varsity Blondes. I don't see what Griff Garrison brings to AEW, period.
Well, so Griff Garrison to me just looks like Jungle Boy. So he needs a new look. He needs something different. The Varsity Blondes, it's not working. They're not even a bad tag team. I think if they had a different gimmick or dynamic, it may actually work. But I just don't understand the whole thing. Now, back to the original question. Are they wasting Malachi Black? That's an interesting question because you got to look at AEW's dynamic. Based off their dynamic, I would say no. He's on TV. He's relevant on TV. He's on TV every week. So they are utilizing him versus other names that I would say they are wasting. But could they be doing more with him? Should they be doing more with him? Yes. First off, Malachi Black, I think the TNT title really, honestly, it's better than what he's doing, but it's really beneath what he's capable of. I think Malachi Black should be in the main title picture. And I would argue Malachi Black should be the guy that defeats Hangman Page. One, It would be a great match. Let's just be honest about that for a second. Could you imagine that match? That match could be match of the year.
I will say that Hangman Page has definitely improved in ring since the start of AEW.
That match could be match of the year with the two guys that are in that match. Now, Malachi Black as champion, though, especially, I mean, he was great in NXT as champion, and he had a very base level gimmick for Malachi or Aleister Black.
Yeah.
He has a very deep gimmick now, especially if you put this House of Black stable with him and all this stuff. Like, man, that could be such a great champion and feuds and things that come from that. So I agree with you. I hope he goes for the TNT title. And I would, again, I can't say much, but I would have rather seen him feud with the other.
Yeah. Yeah. I know where you're going.
If I'm being honest. So I don't think they're wasting him because he is on TV and he is at least relevant on TV.
That's a good point. At least we see him on TV as opposed to
AEW doesn't have good storylines.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say that they're wasting him because if we're going to go off storyline, they're wasting everybody.
Yeah.
But as far as being on TV,
everybody except Bryan Danielson and Hangman Page.
Right.
Brian Steele says, okay, I know it's been a weird kind of year, but last show of the year, as a recap, any brand, what was your favorite moment of the year?
The Summer of Cena. I mean, that for me, you can play it if you'd like.
And his name is John Cena!
First off. Oh, you're gonna play. I didn't know the sound clip was this long.
That's the first time we've let that play all the way through, and I didn't know that.
That's a really long sound clip. I didn't know it.
I didn't know that screen was on at the end. Yeah, I figured last show of the year, just let it play on through.
First off, shout out to my wife. She got me this beautiful John Cena, the Champ is Here hoodie for my birthday. Yeah, he was entertaining. He was on every week during the summer. He did the house shows. I was pumped to have John Cena back, and little mini miscarriage of justice. He should have won the belt.
I actually, for what it's worth, I actually agree. Even if he held it until
the summer.
SummerSlam, whatever.
Let him hold it through the summer and do the summer Cena.
Not held until Survivor Series, I'm sorry.
He don't even have to be on TV.
Yeah.
You know, like if you did it with Brock Lesnar, do it with John Cena.
Lesnar wasn't on TV for who knows how long, and he was
for a long time. But yeah, as a John Cena fan, that to me was it was refreshing. I liked seeing my dude back on TV. If y'all had your hero back on TV, you would say it was your iconic moment as well too. So that hands down easiest question to answer. Summer of Cena.
Mine probably would have been the double debut of Adam Cole and
Bryan Danielson.
Daniel Bryanson.
Daniel Bryanson. That sounds like a Karate Kid name. Like Daniel Bryanson.
Let's see. Steven asks, thoughts on the Owen Hart segment?
Unpopular opinion, I don't like it. I don't think it should happen. Point blank, period. This to me feels like a money grab. This to me feels like it's using his name to get over and to get popular. It feels like another pop moment, like, oh, they're going to do the Owen Hart thing. No, like, stop using this man's name to get popular and successful. It feels fake to me.
So
I'm not happy with it.
What I would have done is, I'll say this: I don't mind them using the whole Owen Hart name, tribute, whatever. If it were up to me, I would have made it the Brody Cup.
That fits their mold better. Honestly, bro, as much as they honor Brody on TV, they use his slogan every single week still.
Yeah.
His son is on the roster. He's still on their roster technically. They've not removed him from.
Amanda Huber works for the company now.
You know, that you want to honor somebody who actually elevated your company and was a part of your company. And I know Owen Hart's wife is involved in this and the money, and they're donating money to a nonprofit, and all that's great. You could have done that with Brody too. To me, if you want to continue to honor somebody, honor Brody Lee, honor his memory, honor what he's done for the business. Owen Hart to me will always be WWE. You're never going to be able to divide that line for me. And I don't care if WWE's done him wrong or his family. Like, that's all under the table. I respect Owen Hart. I feel like this is disrespectful to Owen Hart, his family, his legacy. It feels like a money grab to me. It feels like let's make the fans happy and do this thing. I am not interested in it at all.
I don't share in the extreme dislike for it. If it were up to me, I would make it the Brody Cup. If they really want to have tournaments honoring somebody, make it the Brody Cup. I will say that, I appreciate the fact that, it's benefiting the Owen Hart Foundation. But if this is solely like, if Owen's widow is the one that's like solely in charge of this, and it's like, the rest of the Hart family didn't give any kind of blessing, I guess, over doing this, then I would have to get the full details before I would say I'm behind this, or no, I hate this or whatever. Even all that aside, I just make it the Brody Cup and just and leave it at that.
I didn't even think of it that way. I love the idea of a Brody Cup. I think that fits their mold. He that's where he ended his career, obviously, way too soon. But all that stuff, all that together, like Owen Hart had nothing to do with AEW. Like it just doesn't even make sense to me. So I didn't even think of it from that standpoint. If you want to do a cup or a tournament, that's a great idea. But this one bothers me. I just can't get behind it. It's not interesting to me. Jamie Holtz. I'm not saying WWE hasn't done that with the Dusty Cup, but the Dusty Cup still makes sense to me because Dusty was WWE. He was a big part of their NXT, especially with it being in NXT.
And Dusty went into their Hall of Fame. It's kind of a different scenario there.
Dusty's in their Hall of Fame, but he was also a big part of NXT. Most of the people that went into NXT and have gone to the main roster, they accredit their character to Dusty Rhodes. All of them talk about how Dusty had a huge part in helping them develop something in their wrestling career. He has a huge part in NXT, which is why the Dusty Cup happened on NXT, because he was the heartbeat of NXT.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about Dusty in NXT.
And I will say
that's different.
I will say this, Jamie Holtz, if you've been on with this before, thank you so much. I bring this up because I don't recognize your name. So if this is your first time tuning in, by the way, let us know. We'd like to give you a proper shout out. But I'll say this to anybody that's new watching. We're not pro WWE. We're not pro NXT. We're not pro AEW. We're not anti any company. We're just simply giving our opinions on the situation. We've been super critical of WWE. We've been super critical of AEW. We've also pointed out high points of AEW and WWE. I just said my moment of the year was Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson's double debut at All Out.
Yep.
But the Dusty Cup with NXT is a little, I shouldn't say it's a little different. It's a lot different. So, let's see. It's 10 after. We got time for a few more questions. I'm scrolling back up here because I want to make sure I hopefully don't miss any. I also want to give equal opportunity to, I don't want to read one person's questions and, miss somebody else. So let's see. Our buddy Ryan, Fear the Beard, would AEW suffer or be better with the brand split?
See, I read that one. That's an intriguing question because a brand split done correctly is good. I'm okay with the brand split. Back when WWE did it the first time, it actually was good. It got to the point where it got sour because they didn't know how to. They stopped booking interesting storylines. They didn't switch up the roster enough, and we still see that problem today. We don't switch the rosters up enough to get fresh and new storylines and all of that stuff. I mean, if you looked at this year's draft, it's almost like they moved everybody to the other show, but it was the same roster that just moved to the other show.
Yeah.
And so you really got to know how to split the rosters up better. I think 2 solid shows would be better. I don't know if you have to split them up, though. I think instead of doing to me, Rampage is not a solid show.
You need a 2-hour time slot, and you need to move it.
I think if you were to do, obviously, just about any night you put it on, it conflicts. I think you need to move Dynamite off of Wednesday nights because it can't be in the middle.
I agree.
I think if you were to move Dynamite to Tuesdays and you were to move another show, Rampage, to Thursdays, because obviously Impact's going to suffer due to that, but they're not doing very well as far as viewership anyways. And you have 2 2-hour shows during the week. NXT would probably move back to Wednesdays if that would happen. So now WWE has their shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday. AEW has their shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Maybe you go back to having Rampage compete with NXT too. Maybe you put Rampage on Tuesdays and you put Dynamite on Thursdays and make Thursday your big show and make Dynamite kind of, something that competes with NXT 2.0. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but I'm thinking you need 2 solid shows. You don't necessarily need 2 solid rosters, though. 2 solid shows allows more talent to get on TV because whoever was on Tuesday's show doesn't necessarily have to be on Thursday's show. We see that with Rampage and Dynamite, but Rampage is just too short still to fit all that talent in. I would get rid of Dark, at least as far as like broadcasting it as one of your main shows. You want to do it on YouTube only, that's great, but don't make it a part of your main storylines. Don't make their records count. Turn Dark into your developmental. Get rid of Elevation altogether, or combine the 2 and make it one show. Make it Elevation if that's what you want to call it, or Dark Elevation if that's what you want to call it. Let that be your developmental area for those guys that need some work, but you like them. And then do 2 main shows, middle of the week, Tuesday, Thursday, whatever, and get more guys time on air, get more storylines built up. Because you only do pay-per-views every quarter, your pay-per-view can be a stacked card then. Because now you have all these storylines. You have 10 really great storylines to put on your card now instead of like 6, and all the other ones are just thrown together one-off matches.
Yeah. Let's see here. Going to go back to the chat thread.
I just want to someone who responded to that. I don't think you can put Dynamite on Monday night. I don't think you should try to compete with Raw or SmackDown at this point in time.
I was going to say, I don't think it's in their best interest, no. I mean, if you're going to put...
Rampage is struggling against SmackDown already.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they're at different time slots, even when they went head-to-head, they struggled against SmackDown.
Yeah.
I don't think it's smart for your brand to put yourself up against somebody who is going to give you a run for your money.
So here's what you need to do, and it won't be any worse than your current time slot. And if you really want to be old school and akin to the old WCW days, which is kind of seemingly what they want to do, is move Dynamite to Tuesday night or Thursday night, whichever. Put Rampage on. See, here's how I would have done it. I would have kept Dynamite on, because if you change the nights, you can keep it on TNT. Change Dynamite to Tuesday or Thursday nights. Keep it on TNT.
Yep.
Then move Rampage to TBS. Have that be like your Saturday night 6:05 show, kind of like you did with WCW back in the day. You know how many old school fans would be like all on board just because it's that 6:05, what they would say back in the day, 6:05 Eastern, 5:05 Central. Like that in itself would, get a pop, and people would just be like, "Oh, cool, Saturday Night Wrestling's back on. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it." Like,
not to mention AEW likes to do those old school,
yeah,
kin to this type thing.
Yeah. So anyway,
I agree.
Let's do a few more questions, and Yeah, guys, I'm aware of the YouTube chat bots. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to remove them as I as I see them. Let's see.
There's a question here from Y2J36.
Our buddy Jamie.
Do you guys see any more roster cuts from WWE this upcoming year? Will NXT ever reach the level it did a year or two ago? So those are two really great questions. They're separate answers. I think you're always going to see WWE releases.
It's going to be an annual thing.
And that's not a bad thing. Okay? Before AEW, before the pandemic, we had these releases then too. And I think releases became such a big deal because they were still released during the pandemic. But y'all, like, WWE wasn't the only company to release people during the pandemic. You know, people lost their jobs during the I lost my job during the pandemic, okay? I'm not mad at that company for letting me go because they couldn't afford me during a time that was never seen or heard of before.
Yeah.
And I know they posted blockbuster years in financials and all that stuff. I get it. I get your points, but they've done it every year. This wasn't like it was anything new. If anything, they should have done it because it was going to be an unusual year still.
And I'll give them some slack because some of the guys they released were stupid moves, in my opinion. It's like you're releasing The Fiend, really? Like, I get the problems backstage, but he's your top 3 merch mover.
Right. And it also something that plays into this guy really doesn't want to be here. This guy is going to leave even when his contract runs out, so we might as well stop paying him to do nothing here. So there are those mindsets too. You got to be realistic with yourself. You know, Vince kind of backed himself into a corner when he signed all these indie guys to keep them away from an AEW situation, and now all those guys are going to go there anyway when their contract runs out if they want to. So as far as releases go, yeah, I think you're going to see releases. I think you'll see it every year because they're going to continue to sign names. What did they just sign? They signed like 20 college athletes. Wasn't it some?
It was a lot.
A lot of college athletes, a lot of promising talents or whatnot or abilities that are there. But NXT has a ton of talents that are going to get called up. They're not going to work on the main roster because they plateaued in NXT and they're going to get released. There are names on WWE's roster right now that they have plateaued, and they're going to get released to make room for a homegrown talent. You know, one of the questions I saw on social media here recently was, name WWE's last homegrown male talent that's been successful. I guess you'd have to say Baron Corbin. Braun Strowman, maybe.
As I say, their next one will be Braun Breaker, but prior to him, you got to probably go back to
nobody that wrestled independent, nobody that that's how hard that question was.
Probably Strowman.
Strowman. Now I guess since he's not with the company, you have to say Baron Corbin.
I'm looking at anybody that won the WWE or Universal Championship.
So Strowman was the last homegrown talent that really pushed up to the top of the roster.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like that's why NXT, and this kind of segues into your other question. That's why they're going back to this version of NXT or developmental that is growing homegrown talent because they've not had homegrown talent. They've signed all these indie guys, and now all these indie guys are saying, I can go over here and make the same amount of money, work less dates, and do whatever I want on the side. So I've been saying this. I've been a huge endorser of NXT 2.0. It actually makes me think of something Kevin Owens said in an interview. He said it's different. NXT 2.0 is different. It's something new. It's something fresh. The only complaint or issue he has is he wishes they would have changed the name of it. If it wasn't NXT 2.0, he was. I can get behind this because we left it NXT though, and it's a remembrance of this really great product that Triple H built. Now everybody's having a hard time getting on board with 2.0 because it's not the same NXT.
Right.
I like it. Someone said Roman. Roman's not a homegrown talent.
Why isn't he?
Someone told me he wrestled for FCW.
Well, that was WWE.
Yeah, but they're saying the question that was asked was homegrown talent. They only came into like NXT or just their developmental only.
Well, the FCW was WWE's developmental.
I get it, but I guess this person was trying to say nobody that was in FCW either. Like, just straight this. Because I was thinking Roman at first, too, but I was like, if you're going off that mindset, he wrestled FCW. This person made it a very strict window. Like, who did they just straight build up on their own? But I would agree Roman should fall in that category. So I like NXT 2.0. I think it has a lot of potential to become something. But if we're going to try to say it has to reach a certain level, we got to stop comparing it from the jump. It can't be compared to NXT Black and Gold.
Yeah.
It needs to be allowed to reach its own level.
See, I agree with Kevin Owens, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about it. They should have just taken the NXT name away from it, period. And just
I like the 2.0 name. Just call it 2.0.
Well, you got 2.0 in AEW.
Yeah, but technically this 2.0 started before that 2.0.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just saying.
That's fine. Guys, thanks so much for the fan mail questions. I mean, we could spend another 20, 30 minutes on them, which is why sometimes we do solely Q&A shows. Whenever we come back on the, what is the date? The 6th, I think. January 6th is our next show. Is it the 6th? Is that the right date?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
January 6th. We might do just a solely Q&A show on the 6th. We haven't done one of those in a while. We'll see. But for the time being,
promotional consideration paid for by the following.
CJ Parsons, what's up? You just joined us at the part of the show I've been most excited about. We promised you announcements. We promised you cool things. You're going to get it here in just a couple minutes. But first, I do want to remind you guys, you can check out the Going Broadway podcast. We are live almost every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central Time. We are live across Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. We have an Instagram account as well. Our social media platforms are scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow. We do frequent giveaways depending on, who likes certain pages, who follows certain pages, who subscribes to certain pages, et cetera, et cetera. So make sure you do all 5. Yeah, we've got 5. Brain lapse there. Just check out those links, like, share, subscribe, follow across all platforms. I will say this. We're going to be phasing out Facebook and Twitter as streaming platforms going into early next year. So probably by sometime in February, most likely, we are going to be streaming exclusively to YouTube and Twitch only and using Facebook and Twitter just as more social media platform postings and updates and things like that. So that doesn't mean you shouldn't like and follow those pages, but just be aware that, we've had some issues for whatever reason with people getting flagged for spam on Facebook during our podcasts. And, I would really like to just switch to YouTube and Twitch only for our live streams. So just be aware of that coming into February. Join us on YouTube or Twitch only.
We'll throw the playbacks on there, but
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But as far as going live, it'll just be on those
Alexander Haney, how's it going, man? I appreciate you joining us. So again, just to recap, our social media platforms are scrolling across the bottom of your screen now. Please like, share, subscribe, follow across all platforms. But beginning at some point in February, we're going to be phasing out Facebook and Twitter as streaming platforms and just streaming only to YouTube and Twitch. We'll still use Facebook and Twitter for posting things and things like that. So just be aware of that. So if you don't have a YouTube or a Twitch, or if you don't have any of the accounts, create one, like us, follow us, subscribe, hit the notifications button. We would sincerely appreciate it. Twitch was doing a lot of pausing today. Haven't been having issues with it on my end. It could just be a connection thing. I will say if you're watching Twitch with other platforms, that could be your bandwidth kind of deal. I'm not really positive, but nonetheless, the moment has arrived, guys, where we have promised you new shirts for a while now, and
we delivered.
Yeah, I mean,
over-delivered.
These are my favorite shirts to date. Before I reveal them, they are on our website, goingbroadwaypodcast.com. They are available in the shop. $19.99 plus taxes and shipping for a T-shirt. $39.99 plus taxes and shipping for a hoodie. And here they are, guys. These are our Saturday night's main event tribute Going Broadway Podcast T-shirts and hoodies. I love how these turned out. These are just unbelievable. So, again, they are available on our shop. They were just put up within the last 5 or 10 minutes. They do come in the traditional Saturday night's main event, red and blue and white, and they do also come in our green, gray, and white schemes as well.
I love all of them.
I do too. The green didn't really fit well on the light gray, so we decided not to go with the light gray for the green scheme. But I love how these turned out. They're just so cool. So anyway, again, $19.99 for a T-shirt plus taxes and shipping, $39.99 for a hoodie plus taxes and shipping. Again, I'll throw both of these up again one more time. Again, these are Saturday night's main event tribute shirts.
I'll be rocking these all the time. These are so cool. I love the color waves on both. I love the font. It turned out really, really good.
So again, if you're interested, they're available on our shop, goingbroadwaypodcast.com. Get your orders in. You don't have to talk to us anymore. If you're interested in any of the shirts, you can just go straight to the website, place your order. And during Christmas season, probably allow 2 to 3 weeks because they're made to order. We got to make them, ship them, and all that stuff. So
I got to answer Steven's question real quick. Any plans to attend any wrestling shows in 2022?
Yes.
If Double or Nothing. I'll be rocking that merchandise right there at Royal Rumble, all right? So I just had to answer that because it was a good plug for the merch. I plan on rocking that merch right there that we just introduced at Royal Rumble because Alex and I will be there, and I will be in prison that night because I'm going to jump the guardrail.
Cole's going to be entrant number 31.
I don't know. I might make someone else entrant 31. That doesn't have a really good history of winning the Rumble. I want to be like 16 or 17.
Anyway, I'm just saying the later you enter, the more likely you're going to be to win.
Right, because I'm going to get caught pretty quick.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, the other announcement. So I actually posted this on our social media platforms yesterday, but there's more detail to it. We've been mentioning our 12-hour stream that we're going to be doing. So we did decide on a date. It is going to be Saturday, February 19th.
Yes, sir.
We're going to start at noon Eastern, go to midnight Eastern. Again, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. This is going to be exclusively to Twitch only. So more than likely by this point, we will have completely switched to YouTube and Twitch only. We're not even going to put this on YouTube. Our 12-hour stream is going to be on Twitch only. So again, twitch.tv/Going Broadway Podcast. Please give us a follow. But guys, this is the huge announcement. I'm super stoked about this. So I'm going to play something for you, and we will be right back. In the words of Daniel Bryanson, yes.
I was going to say, in the words of Matt Hardy, it's going to be
wonderful! That's right. We got Matt Hardy coming on, joining us for hour 2 of our 12-hour stream. So he'll be on with us at 1 p.m. Eastern, at noon Central. Our 12-hour stream is going to be off the hook, guys. We're going to have an all-star cast of guests. We're going to watch wrestling together. We're going to do some giveaways.
Great segments. We got a lot of cool things planned, y'all.
Yeah, and we actually have another confirmed guest that we'll announce whenever we resume our podcasts in January. So good segue to say we will not have a show next week. We will be taking a break between Christmas and New Year's, but we'll be back on the 6th. And then, not only that, after the 6th, we have a show on the 13th, and then I'm going to play this as it relates to our show on the 13th. just a reminder, Nikita Koloff will be on with us Thursday morning, January 13th, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. Guys, when I say that 2022 is going to be huge for us, for the Going Broadway podcast, I couldn't say any truer words. I mean, it's just...
Which 2021 was actually a pretty good year.
2021 was awesome.
We've had some great interviews, award-winning podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to conclude our podcast with just some thoughts that I have about everything you were just saying. So I'm going to reserve a little bit of time for that at the end of the podcast. But nonetheless, so we just threw a lot at you guys. So check out our new shirts, Saturday Night's Main Event Tribute shirts, GoingBroadwayPodcast.com. They are on our shop. They are available. $19.99 for a t-shirt plus taxes and shipping. $39.99 for a hoodie plus taxes and shipping. Nikita Koloff, January 13th, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. And our 12-hour stream airing Saturday, February 19th.
Yeah.
Noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. Matt Hardy joins us for hour 2 at noon Eastern. Sorry, 1 Eastern, noon Central for hour 2. And then we'll be announcing more stuff for our 12-hour stream in the coming weeks. So I was about to say, how can we top that? But One Must Go is always a fun segment. So, and I know some of you guys have some One Must Go segments. I know Cole and I only have a few each. So if you guys have any, throw them at us. We might
grab a couple.
We might read one or two of them. All right. So
why don't you kick us off?
I'll kick us off with one. I gotta pull it up here.
Yours always frustrate me.
Oh, these won't be any different. Oh man,
I have to say I've dwindled down my list. I told Alex I made like a list of like 30 of these, and I wasn't gonna add any more until I got through the 30. And today, I'm gonna finally, after like our 4th segment of this, I'm gonna finally finish this list off so I can make new ones.
All right. Sorry guys, I'm still trying to find it. There it is. Okay. One must go, and they all apply to AJ Styles.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
One must go, his TNA/Impact run, his New Japan run, or his WWE run.
New Japan, see ya.
Wow, just like that.
Here's the thing. I'm an AJ Styles fan. I loved him in Impact. That's how I came across Impact. I can't get rid of Impact run. Too many great feuds, too many great things that happen there, and we wouldn't get AJ Styles without his Impact run. So
okay.
I gotta keep his Impact. Now,
I'm out of coffee.
Growing up as a WWE fan, wanting those feuds to happen for years. We're talking AJ Styles versus my favorites for years. I long for him to come to WWE. And it finally happened. He came in at the Royal Rumble. I lost my crap. It was great. New Japan was good, but like I gotta have the other two.
See, I gotta argue that he might not be in WWE without his New Japan run.
I think he was already eyed when he was Impact TNA. I think AJ Styles right place at the right time with WWE when it finally happened.
Let's put it this way. I think we can all agree that without his TNA/Impact run,
there's no Styles.
There's no AJ Styles.
So we have to keep that. You and I could probably go back and forth, and I think that's just a matter of where we wanted him to go to. Yeah. I always wanted him in WWE. You've always kind of liked him more in the not independent, but more in the freedom to have those star-studded 5-star matches. So, but yeah, I have to keep those two. I gotta let go of New Japan. I thought you might have thrown ROH in there at me too. I would have said ROH had it been.
I was thinking about it, but that would have been too easy.
So,
this is such a weird dynamic because New Japan AJ is my favorite version of AJ.
Yeah,
but
that character couldn't have got over in any other promotion. Yeah. What he did in New Japan couldn't have worked anywhere else.
It's gonna be an unpopular opinion. I'm getting rid of WWE AJ.
Oh man. Also, with that, you'd never get AJ in the WWE Hall of Fame, which would ruin me to know that one of the greatest of all time would never be in what we would still classify as probably the top company.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you've got guys in the WWE Hall of Fame that never
very few.
But AJ is not exactly a common talent.
He would be a phenomenal pick.
Indeed.
All right. Speaking of TNA, I got one for you. Not all of these were necessarily TNA, but tag team never existed. One must go.
Okay.
Motor City Machine Guns.
Okay.
Briscoe Brothers. The Good Brothers.
Well, Briscoes weren't in TNA.
I said they weren't. Not all of these are TNA.
Oh, I thought you meant all the ones that you're going to.
Right. I just said.
Yeah, gotcha.
A lot of these were TNA tag teams, though. Motor City Machine Guns, Briscoe Brothers, The Good Brothers, Beer Money Incorporated.
You're throwing 4 at me. Okay.
Beer Money Incorporated.
A tag team. So just a tag team never existed.
Never existed.
But
the tag team never existed.
But they could do singles.
They could have been singles.
Never existed in any promotion.
Never, ever happened.
You got to keep Good Brothers, because without Good Brothers, I don't think you have Bullet Club.
Okay.
I'm keeping Motor City Machine Guns just because.
They're better as a tag team.
So
that leaves you with the Briscoe Bros and Beer Money Incorporated.
I'm probably getting rid of Beer Money Incorporated.
Just because you think they would be the most likely to be single stars?
Even though I know one of the Briscoes was Ring of Honor World Champion, I'm getting rid of Beer Money Incorporated.
I get the logic. I do. And maybe mine's an unpopular opinion. But I would get rid of the Good Brothers. And that's because I think Luke Gallows in particular has been booked wrong his entire career. I think in his prime, as big as he was, the build that he had, all that stuff, they could have booked him way better as a single star. And he had those opportunities. I know they brought him into WWE as Festus or whatever, and he was really dumb.
You remember the tongue being out thing?
Yeah, if we could go back, like if you could combine a tag team, like could you imagine like him and Otis together, like just like the world's dumbest tag team ever of talented wrestlers?
Otis and Festus.
Be a great tag team. But regardless, I think he had enough of the build and the talent and whatnot that if they would have developed him better storyline and character-wise, he could have been on to been a bigger single star. Carl Anderson, I don't know if he would have ever become a big single star, but I think he could have found something that worked for him somewhere else.
Gotcha.
Beer Money Incorporated was one of my favorite tag teams, so it's hard to let them go. The Motor City Machine Guns, again, one of my favorite tag teams. And the Briscoe Brothers, I don't know how you could not have real-life brothers not be a tag team at some point.
Okay. All right. One must go. Never were in wrestling. Career never existed.
Oh.
Never happened.
I hate these.
Adam Cole. Jay Lethal. Booker T.
Just those three?
Just those three.
I hate you. Never were in wrestling.
Never.
Not once.
The entire span of their career never existed.
Oh, you're really going to do this to me. All right, so I got to start off by saying it can't be Booker T. It just can't be.
But it could.
No, it can't. Can you dig it, sucker? The Spinneroonie. Just, I can't. The iconic Stone Cold and him in the grocery store. His tag team goal. I just can't. I can't get rid of Booker T.
Wouldn't have had Harlem Heat either.
Oh, this is where it gets hard. I hate to do this.
I know what you're gonna say.
I'm gonna say Jay Lethal.
I'm telling on you.
He might agree with me. He might say himself because I don't know. With those three names, if you would have gave me a fourth, I probably would have said the fourth. Because the first three are like some of my favorites. I like all of them would be like in probably my top 20, 25 favorites of all time of who I actually got to watch wrestling. You know, if we're not going to go off best or, you know, whatever, just favorites to watch, they probably make my list.
Yeah.
But I got to go Jay Lethal, probably just based off accomplishment alone. Adam Cole's accomplished a lot more than Jay Lethal across the board. Booker T, WWE legend, five-time. I'd probably just say Jay Lethal based off of lack of meeting the others' accomplishments.
I'm going Booker T.
No, you can't.
But hear my rationale. You can't
do it.
My rationale is I'm surprised that Booker T never got into movies. Well, besides Ready to Rumble, and that doesn't count. he never got into acting.
You could say the same about Jay Lethal, though. The guy's an impersonation.
Yeah, but
guru.
But with Booker T, he has the look of an actor. Like, he's super built.
So you're thinking like comedic action star actor.
Some other line of work that I don't necessarily feel like that Adam Cole or Jay Lethal could have had.
Huh. There's an interesting point of view. I can't do it.
That's what I got.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do what you just did.
I just did it.
All right. You want to do that?
I do.
I got one for you. One never gets to be world champion ever again.
Okay.
Dolph Ziggler, Jeff Hardy, Kevin Owens, Ben Balor.
Jeff Hardy.
What? No.
Never gets to be again?
Yeah, never gets to be world champion
but
ever
all
again.
their other world championships are
Yeah, all of them have been world champion.
Jeff Hardy.
I just can't believe this. I can't believe this. Jeff Hardy. Based off of recent stuff, or just you would always say that?
Just because he's in the twilight of his career, and I mean, I don't necessarily know that a world title run anywhere would make sense. Even if he was still with WWE, I would rather see Dolph Ziggler as world champion. I'd rather see KO as world champion. Finn Balor, I'd rather see him as world champion.
See, I struggle between, I could literally say, even though I love Dolph Ziggler, I feel like his there's no way you could build enough momentum for anyone to get behind him now.
I'm not saying momentum wouldn't play a part in it. I'm just saying
everyone was
personally,
behind Jeff Hardy here recently.
No, I get it, and I'm sure mine's an unpopular opinion, but it's just my opinion. Who I would rather see as world champion.
I know.
So
I get it. A lot of people are saying Jeff Hardy, but I'm going to say Dolph Ziggler. I think I would have been okay with one more Jeff Hardy.
No, I got you.
World title reign, not just in WWE, just in general.
I got you. Okay, so Dolph Ziggler was yours.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. One of these three has to go. Like, it never happened, never existed. You ready for this?
No.
Okay. WrestleMania X7, WrestleMania 17.
Okay.
Some consider it the best pay-per-view in the history of wrestling pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Headlined by Rock and Stone Cold.
Yeah.
So, WrestleMania 17, all, not just one, all of the NXT pay-per-view, NXT TakeOver pay-per-views, all of them.
Yeah, that's tough.
Or All Out 2021, where we had the double debut and was possibly the best pay-per-view we've had since WrestleMania 17.
See, I would argue that.
I didn't say it was. I said arguably.
I know. I would be in the arguably department on that. I'm going to get rid of All Out 2021.
I am as well, just because
NXT takeovers in its entirety, you can't get rid of those. There's too many 5-star match of the year candidate matches in those. And WrestleMania 17, I mean, you just can't. You can't get rid of it.
See,
I could get rid. You could recreate All Out 2021 any other time, and it would still be really, really good. You can't recreate WrestleMania 17, and you could not recreate all of the.
Oh, you could have moved WrestleMania 17. You could have moved those storylines to, a WrestleMania a year before, after.
The timing just feels so great.
But no, I'm agreeing with you, because at that point, wrestling was making its resurgence. We're just coming off the Attitude Era, and the timing was just right to have the shift for even though in hindsight it wasn't necessarily the best storyline move, in my opinion. Austin turning heel, aligning with Vince. What's crazy about that is no one. I'll throw it out there like this: a lot of people are super sour to this day about that storyline about Austin turning heel and how they're just like, well, shouldn't have happened. Well, you didn't really know that at the time. That's just a hindsight thing. In my opinion, just my opinion only. If you agreed with it, if you liked it, awesome. But at the time, in the moment, it was like, whoa, this is like a big deal. And I don't know if it's because how they went on to execute it or what maybe you guys can put your finger on somewhere where it's just like, wow, this isn't really working, or I don't know, what have you. But even despite that, people still consider WrestleMania 17 the best pay-per-view ever. Even despite what some say was a semi-botched storyline payoff with Austin turning heel and et cetera, et cetera. So
before I read my last one, I want to do Jeremy Stoneberger's.
Okay. What's he got?
Removed from history as a team.
Hang on, I want to scroll to it so I don't forget these.
Rock and Roll Express, the Road Warriors, the Dudleys.
I see it.
New Age Outlaws. Removed from history as a team.
As a team? Okay.
I thought it was going to be easy, but it's not as easy.
I think it's easy. I'll save mine.
I'm going to say New Age Outlaws.
I am too. I don't even think it's...
Mainly because I think both of those guys were talented enough to go be single stars.
Yeah.
I don't think the Dudleys... Without the Dudleys, you don't get Bully Ray. You don't get any of their single runs. The Road Warriors, to me, only worked as the Road Warriors. And Rock and Roll Express, you could make the argument, especially after talking to him, that Ricky Morton obviously had the talent to go and be a single star and was able to do those things, but it was clear that they were a bigger draw probably as a team. So,
Yep.
All right, my last one.
Last one. Let's have it.
One manager must go.
Okay.
Paul Heyman.
Just goes as a manager, though.
Yeah, I mean, like they don't manage anybody.
But they could still be like in the wrestling
They could
business.
probably be in the business somewhere as a producer or backstage hand, GM, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Must go as a manager. Paul Heyman, MVP, Don Callis, Tully Blanchard.
Goes as a manager?
They can't. They're now. So all of them have been managers here currently, so they would not have these manager roles that they've ever had, whether it's now, past, or present. They were never in a manager role because all these guys are phenomenal managers.
I'm actually going to go Tully.
Based off he already had a successful career and the manager thing's not that big of a deal.
I'm not even, partially attributed to that, but I mean, as a manager, I just don't feel like of the four, he just brings as much to the table.
Okay.
I mean, the other three are just, almost must watch on a microphone. All due respect to Tully, he's entertaining on a mic, but I don't feel like he's as entertaining as the other three.
I'm going to actually say Don Callis. And the reason why is, to me, Tully Blanchard is so prestigious, though, that he doesn't have to be as good of a mic guy as the other three, but the other three have to be such good mic guys.
Yeah.
Because they're not as prestigious. Paul Heyman, to me, is one of the greatest managers of all time, if not the greatest manager of all time.
Yeah, when you said him, I'm just like, he's not going to be my choice,
MVP,
no matter what.
To me, has the potential to get on that list. He to me, is a great mic guy. He probably should have been a manager from the jump. I don't know if you could say his wrestling career was so great that it even competes with what he's doing as a manager / like part-time wrestler.
Yeah.
And Tully and Don Callis, I could probably go back and forth on, but I'm going to say Don Callis just because he kind of annoyed me.
I can see that.
And maybe that's a good thing as a manager, but I don't know.
I can see that. Let's tackle day one predictions. And guys, please don't leave us. I promise that we're going to do a giveaway before the podcast is over. I'm sticking with that. Stick around, hang out for another 10, 15 minutes, and I promise we'll have that giveaway. So, day one predictions. Got it pulled up here.
These are not going to be as clear, cut, and dry as I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I mean, mine are going to be more just quick answer, rapid fire, because A, due to time, and B, because this is, still a week and a half plus away.
Right.
We generally don't do predictions this far out because we generally have a show every week. So a lot can change between now and then, which is why my predictions are just going to be quick as it stands now because a lot could change in a week. Drew McIntyre, Madcap Moss. I think we can assume.
I don't see how Madcap Moss wins this match.
I don't either.
Unless it's going to progress the storyline. I think this is just to give Drew something to do until they figure out what they want to do with him. So I'm going to say Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Edge versus Miz.
This one's not as clear cut for me. I struggle with this one because it really depends on what you want to do. First off, is this a one-off match?
I don't think so.
Or is this going to lead to like a tag match, mixed tag match with Miz and Maurice versus Beth Phoenix and Edge at Royal Rumble?
I'm thinking it's even going to. I think they might actually do it at Mania.
Oh, have them feud through Rumble and kind of get each other out, and then maybe even see that with the women too. Maybe Beth Phoenix and Maurice are both in the women's Rumble.
It's like you're in my head. That's where I was going to go with that.
That's a great story build. I'm going to agree with you. So I'm going to say Miz wins.
Yep. Same here.
Wins this.
Yeah. My thought was both have, schmazes during the Rumble match itself. We see Beth come into the Rumble. We see Maurice in the Rumble as well. And they kind of.
Because you got to get the big pop from Edge in the Rumble. So that's a great story. I like that.
WWE, are you listening? Are you watching?
Sign Alex and I to your storytelling, your writer, creative.
Tag team match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Usos defending against New Day.
I think I could watch this match 1,000 times. These guys just belong in the ring together. They're so much fun to watch. This is not as clear cut as I thought it would be, though, because it depends on what happens with the Bloodline faction in general.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to say the New Day wins this.
You say they win the belts here?
I think they beat the Bloodline here.
Okay. So I'm just gonna say Usos retain and leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah.
Becky Lynch defends the Raw Women's Championship against Liv Morgan.
Oh, this is hard for me. It's hard for me because I don't know how many times you can have Liv Morgan lose before she gets the win. And so where this is timing at for me, like a lot of people are saying she should lose here, win the Rumble, and then go win it at Mania. I don't know if it's that clear cut for me because she's already lost on Raw. You have her lose again at day one. I feel like you're setting her up to be more of a loser. She's got to have the payoff here if she's going to win it, in my opinion.
I agree. She either wins it here or she's out of the title picture.
And I don't know if she's the number one pick to win a Rumble. If they call like Raquel Gonzalez up, I would think it's her. Rhea Ripley, to me, would be a top pick. Lacey Evans, if she makes her return, top pick. Bayley, if she makes her return. There's a lot of other names that Liv Morgan kind of falls to the background for me.
Yeah.
So I'm actually... done correctly, I'm going to say Liv Morgan wins.
I feel like I'm just, and maybe it's not the safe pick, I don't know, but I'm actually saying Becky retains here.
It's a good pick.
And I'm saying we don't. One of two things happens. So Becky wins, and then one of two things happens. Either Liv is completely phased out of the women's title picture, or she stays in the title picture, but she'll pick up a win in like a triple threat match or something like that. I don't think she wins the Rumble, but we'll see. Fatal 4-Way WWE Championship. Big E defends against Seth Rollins, KO, and Bobby Lashley.
This is probably the hardest one for me to pick.
And again, guys, we're picking who walks out with the belt in the championship matches.
The reason why I'm having a hard time picking is, one, all four in the match are title holders. They're title contenders.
I will say this. I will predict that this will be match of the night.
I agree. I'm kind of hoping it's not Seth or Kevin Owens because I want them to continue their storyline without the belt.
I do agree.
So it limits me down to Bobby Lashley and Big E. I think you keep it on Big E till Rumble.
At least.
So
and I agree.
I think Big E's going to win this match by beating Seth or Kevin because they're going to kind of have a disconnect somewhere.
Yeah.
And Big E gets the win. It protects Bobby Lashley. It would not shock me if Bobby Lashley's in that conversation to win the Rumble.
Yep.
So-
Again, it's like you're in my head. So here's my long-term storytelling aspect. Big E retains here, but then loses it at the Rumble to either KO or Seth Rollins. I'm going to say one of those. I'm even going to go as far to say he loses it to Seth, but then we have a Seth versus Bobby match at Mania because Bobby will win the Rumble, and they've been teasing a Bobby Lashley face turn.
I get where you're going there. I'm gonna take you a different direction for a second.
Take us a different direction then.
I think Big E retains. He goes to Rumble or whatever, and whoever he faces at Rumble is going to beat him. I don't even know if it's Seth or Kevin. I honestly could see Finn Balor getting into that title picture and winning it at Rumble. Or, I'm just spitballing here some names. Damian Priest.
Huh.
I think Damian Priest could lose the belt. He has a title match against Dolph Ziggler, I think this Monday. Could drop it to Dolph there. Or it could be a rematch set up at day one between them, and he drops it at day one and could go on and win a number one contender match on Raw and put it on Damian Priest. I'm just spitballing an idea. But whoever it is, I don't think Bobby Lashley. I think if Bobby Lashley wins the Rumble, I don't think he goes after the Raw champion.
Ooh.
I think what would be a more interesting dynamic, and I can't give away too much, but that he'll go after the SmackDown title, and I'll explain why when we get to that prediction.
Okay. And then for the Universal Championship, Roman Reigns defending against Brock Lesnar.
So a lot of interesting little things to note here. Paul Heyman's been fired, so he's not Roman's counsel anymore. But I think we do see Paul Heyman at ringside. I'm not going to say for Brock. I kind of mentioned to you the other day. It's an intriguing thought to me, and it's, again, long-term storytelling, which I'm hoping it seems like Raw and SmackDown are trying to get there with this long-term storytelling. We're going to be heading into WrestleMania season. What if Paul Heyman actually comes down to ringside to actually try to help Roman and actually tries to be back in his corner and stays with Roman, yada, yada, yada. But then Sami Zayn comes down to ringside and helps Brock Lesnar. Sami Zayn becomes Brock Lesnar's mouthpiece. They do the funny shirts with the Canadian boys and, all this stuff. Sami Zayn's the mouthpiece. He wrestles some tag matches. Maybe we get a funny tag win between him and Brock as tag champs for a small little month or whatever.
They're the ones that defeat the Usos. That'd be hilarious.
And that could continue the bloodline story. So it kind of nicks my New Day winning the belts idea if that's the case, but they could take the belts off the bloodline for a little bit, whatever. Just an idea that Sami Zayn comes out, helps Lesnar win. He becomes Lesnar's mouthpiece or an addition to his mouthpiece.
Right.
And that prolongs all the way to Mania. And Sami Zayn's with Brock Lesnar to Mania. Sami Zayn goes into the Money in the Bank ladder match, wins the Money in the Bank ladder match, and promises Brock he'll never cash in on him. Until the moment happens where...
Until he does.
he cashes in on Brock. And then we get a Sami Zayn as world champion thing, which I think people would be happy about. It's done in a very unique way. It gets back to the Money in the Bank. It's got to be someone who wins it who may never, ever gets to be champion without it. And Sami Zayn can really sell that. And it ends the conspiracy theory storyline. It's a big payoff to the conspiracy theory storyline.
Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, John Laurinaitis, are you hearing this? We just wrote your storylines for the Universal title up until what?
Money in the Bank. It's probably the
SummerSlam.
Where the payoff would happen. Now, I mentioned Bobby Lashley wins the Royal Rumble. Bobby Lashley goes after my pick to win day one, Brock Lesnar. I think at WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar wins the belt here at day one.
Okay.
He holds it till WrestleMania. We don't see Roman on TV for a little while for whatever reason. Roman makes his return he's going to return at WrestleMania to fight Brock Lesnar for the belt, and Bobby Lashley decides I'm going to be in that match as well. It's going to be Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title.
Okay.
and we'll finally get to see that Brock Lesnar Bobby Lashley face off, which then continues the storyline. Let's just say Bobby Lashley wins it. It continues that storyline. Or if he loses, it can set up for a one-on-one match between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar at Money in the Bank. And maybe that's where Sammy catches in, is on the same night. I'm just throwing out some ideas here, but I'm going to say Brock Lesnar can't lose twice in a row on a pay-per-view.
No, I agree.
I'm struggling with that.
I think he wins it here.
I think Brock Lesnar, however it happens, the only way you can protect Brock is if it's another cheat win, which I'm tired of seeing with these big names that they bring in. John Cena, Edge, all the big names they keep putting him up against.
So real quick, of the 4 currently scheduled title matches, you're predicting 3 title changes.
They want day one to be a big deal. They want it to be a pay-per-view that's going to be around. This is all, who was it, Nick Khan's idea, I think?
I don't know.
I think it was Nick Khan's idea.
Maybe.
So if that's the case, this has to be a shocking show.
Yeah.
We're going into Royal Rumble season. You got to have the belts on your road to WrestleMania. They got to be on big names. I'm not saying Roman's not a big name, but I don't think we're going to see The Rock at WrestleMania. And who else are you going to put up Roman against at Mania? Who's a big name that's going to be there that we already haven't seen?
Yeah.
You can't do Brock 3 when he's lost 2 of the first 2. So if you want to do Brock and Roman at WrestleMania, it's got to be on Brock because you've already had him lose.
It's got to be
twice.
it's got to be the rubber match.
So not that they've not wrestled a bajillion times already, but just my thoughts. I think this is going to be a big pay-per-view. I could be wrong on some of those predictions, but I really like the idea if they can do long-term storytelling here. Brock wins the belt. Pair him up with Sammy. Let's have some fun. Let's continue this fun Brock Lesnar character.
Cool. Hey, guys, we're going to wrap things up. I promised you a giveaway. We're going to do a giveaway. So if you want to be entered into this giveaway, reply on any social media platform you're on, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, whatever one you're on. I will see it. It'll come through. Reply with the word Brody, BRODIE. And not to... we're not going to end on a downer or anything like that. This is to honor him. Unfortunately, it was almost a year ago. It'll be the day after Christmas, actually, I think, that Brody passed away last year. And one of our listeners was kind enough to send a shirt. And this person didn't want to be named, so I'm going to respect their wishes. But they gifted a shirt. And it was in an extra large, but I basically, I told the person, thank you, but I've got too many wrestling shirts as it is. So I said, would you mind if we, use this as a giveaway item? And this person said, absolutely not a problem. So I have here if I can get it unfolded here, a Brody Forever shirt. Again, it is in an extra large. I know this might be too small or too big for some of you, but maybe you have a family member, friend, etc., that you could give them a late Christmas gift, because honestly, by the time this gets shipped out, it will be after Christmas. But nonetheless, it is free shipping within the lower 48 states. If you do live in Alaska, Hawaii, or otherwise internationally, you would be responsible for some of the shipping costs. And for a T-shirt, I don't know if it's worth your while or not. But nonetheless, so, and again, the winner has to contact me privately through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, any form of direct messaging. We'll get it, we'll find it, and you just have to claim your prize. Message me your mailing address, even if you have already, even if you are a prior winner. Still, please reply to claim your prize. So. While you guys are doing that, I'm not going to put a time limit on it. By the way, you only have to reply once. If you do it multiple times, it's not going to get you multiple entries. But while you guys are replying with that, and I'll give Cole a chance to say the same thing as well. But I want to say thank you to you guys for 2 years of doing this podcast. took a little bit of a hiatus. Was it earlier this summer, or was that last summer?
One of the two.
It's one of the two. It's just been a fun ride, and aside from that hiatus that we took during whichever summer it was, it's just been a ton of fun. And if you would have told either one of us whenever we started this podcast, it was again the first Monday, January 2020, that you guys are going to have Matt Hardy and Tully Blanchard and Jay Lethal and Kylie Ray and Ricky Morton and Nikita Koloff, all these guys on as guests, I'd have told you you're crazy. I would have said there's no way. We just started a wrestling podcast because we wanted to, because it's fun. I've said this before. We'd be doing this if there was 500 or 500 people watching. And it's funny. I actually went back and watched our very first podcast yesterday. Man, were we green at that point. I mean, shouldn't say no idea. Little to no idea about how to do a podcast. It just, we love wrestling. It was something we wanted to talk about. Started out with 3 of us for the first couple shows, and then the guy that was doing it with us just wasn't able to with other work commitments and such. But again, I just want to thank you guys for supporting us, watching us, listening to us, for liking our pages, subscribing to our pages, following our pages. Just all the support you guys have offered us, buying our shirts, buying the merch in general. And I know we're kind of outside the box as far as wrestling podcasts go. We're not dropping F-bombs every 10 seconds. We don't do language here, period, on the program. We try to keep the chat thread free of it. Because we don't know who's watching, and, quite frankly, we feel like we can be entertaining without all of that. So, just really from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. 2020 was awesome. 2021 was even better. 2022 is going to be off the hook. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how much fun it's going to be. Just the different things we're going to continue to roll out with, the guests we're going to continue to have. David Tilley, that's fantastic news. I don't know. I mean, I could go on and sound like a broken record, but I'll let you have the floor for a couple minutes if you wanted to say anything.
Yeah, y'all are some crazy awesome fans, first off, and not just of our show, but of wrestling. We have so much fun chatting with you guys. You guys bring forth some really cool and great ideas and thoughts and questions, and y'all are just crazy sometimes, sending in Jordans and T-shirts and belts.
Oh yeah, I didn't even get that. You didn't get to that. And
all the crazy stuff that is just mind blowing. And by no means do I ever take any of it for granted. Y'all don't understand how blessed and honored I am to be a part of this show, to gain your guys' attention for an hour and a half to 2 hours just to talk about my thoughts on wrestling. And so some of y'all are just crazy. Some of the stories and testimonies and different things that we just hear from you guys about things that you've gone through and how this show has just been a bright spot in your week or your hard time or your hardship, that means the most to me. To be able to be a part of something that brings joy to others and is such a great moment for other people. I get a lot out of this. It brings me a lot of joy. It brings me a lot of happiness to be able to do the show. But to also be able to create joy and create happiness in other people's lives is such an honor for me. It's such a heartwarming thing for me. And so I want to say thank you guys for just being some of the best, crazy, awesome fans that we could ever ask for. Y'all blew up our social medias and got all of those to crazy numbers. And
yeah, I mean, we're just as a point of reference, our Twitch we just recently started on, and we're almost to 2,000 followers already.
You guys are just awesome. You guys have been so supportive from the get-go. Some of you guys have added me as friends on social media, and you guys have actually been really great conversationalists, not just on wrestling-related stuff. I got some of you guys who will hit me up about football or just hit me up about life and in general and whatnot. And it's just so cool to have those connections. To win 4 awards.
Oh yeah,
on a platform that was not just a wrestling related platform, but just podcasts in general and the meaning behind it. was such a cool honor. Just so many cool different things. Like, it's so hard to name all of them. To be able to interview guys that I could never even try to lace up their boots with how much they've gone through and the experiences that they've had with Tully Blanchard and Jay Lethal and Kylie Ray and, Ricky Morton, and some of the ones we're going to have with Matt Hardy, Nikita Koloff. And y'all don't even know some of the names that we're in contact with, that when Alex sends me a text and tells me what's going on, my jaw just drops. Like, you would think I wouldn't be shocked anymore. I get shocked by just some of the craziest things that happen, and they happen so naturally, honestly. Like, it's not a forced thing. It's not something that we really try hard. One time I told Alex just how thankful I am for him, and I want to echo these sentiments now of all the work that he puts in for the show. Like, y'all don't see the background and the effort and time that he puts in to making the show so great, and to always wanting to continue to elevate it in excellence and doing it. It's such an honor to work with him and to see his heart and his passion for this. But he'll hit me up and I'm like, dude, this is crazy. You're doing such a great job. He goes, honestly, I didn't really do that much in this situation. Like, it just kind of happened. And so to be a part of something that organically, honestly, naturally is just growing on its own and doing its own thing is such an awesome thing to be a part of. But we couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you so much for 2 years and many more to come with this podcast, to being a part of it and all that. If I don't say it later on, have a Merry Christmas, enjoy time with your family. And we're so excited to kick off 2022 with just a bang, with our interview with Nikita Koloff, with our 12-hour stream in February. Like, that's just the tip of the iceberg right now.
And when we say something that is related to Matt Hardy is just the tip of the iceberg, that just tells you how awesome 2022 is going to be. And guys, and truly, genuinely, honestly, I can't tell you just what an awesome community this is. I mean, it's more than just a podcast. It's a community of just awesome people to be able to talk to outside of the podcast, outside of this show. And Cole mentioned, just people that were just sending us things unsolicited. A couple of people sent letters with their gifts, and guys, I keep these letters. I keep them in my backpack. I always carry them. And so again, just to echo again, I sound like a broken record, but thank you guys for just everything, supporting us, watching us, listening to us, the gifts, the kind words,
the support,
the awards, suggestions, and it's just amazing. So anyway, promise to give away. We're doing it. I promise. We're doing it right now. And hold on just 1 second. Get back to here. All right, let's do this. So I gotta get back over to the right screen here. Okay. And I'm just making sure that everybody's responses are populated.
Just for some of you that might be joining the podcast a little bit later, we did do the Discord belt giveaway earlier.
Yep.
And that winner was, one more time, Natural 1.
Natural, the number 1.
So if that's you got to reach out to us and let us know that that's you, and we'll get that all set up for you. Reach out on any of our platforms that have direct message, and we'll get it. So if you weren't with us earlier, we did do that already. Natural 1 was the winner. So this giveaway here is for the Brody Forever t-shirt that somebody was so kindly to give towards for that. So that's what we're doing now as the giveaway.
And real quick, guys, we're going to continue to have belt giveaways. So again, as far as our social media platforms, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitch, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I promise we're going to do more in the future that are going to be specific to certain platforms. So you're going to want to make sure you do all 5. And if you're not already, if you want to be invited to our Discord as well, send us a private message. I can send you a link to it as well. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's basically just a server where, people just talk about topic specific things. Like I have a Discord channels for like WWE, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, NWA. I have suggestions for like our 12-hour stream. It's where you can submit your fan questions ahead of time. You can submit. I'll post information about future podcasts. I'll post the live links for our podcasts, merch suggestions. So whole host of things, if you will. So, all right, I've talked enough. Let's do this. 10 clicks will be our winner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and click number 10 will be our winner, and it is ACP Network. ACP Network. That's a new one. What is ACP Network?
It's a YouTuber, I think. I'm scrolling.
No, it's Twitch.
Oh, Twitch.
ACP Network on Twitch. So I'm going to turn this towards you so you can see it. An ACP Network, if this is your first time joining us, number 1, thank you. Number 2, congratulations. So, shoot us a direct message with your mailing address, your real name if you want to provide it. You don't have to. And we'll get this Brody shirt sent out to you. I'll be 100% honest, it might be next week before I get this shipped out. Because once I conclude the podcast here, I'm actually done until next week. I'm done. I'm off for Christmas. So, but again, guys, thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate it. I do want to take this time to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, a safe Christmas, and a safe New Year. We'll be back again on January 6th. There will not be a podcast next week. Enjoy the time with your family and friends. Unfortunately, it's about that time. Cole, any final thoughts?
As always, guys, thank you for watching the greatest wrestling podcast ever. We sincerely appreciate it. Again, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you. Those of you who don't celebrate Christmas, Happy Holidays to you, whatever that particular holiday would be for you. And other than that, don't forget to go get that new Going Broadway Podcast merch. It looks so great. I'm telling you, this is probably my favorite design as well. So make sure you get them. Get them in all the colors and all the styles. And rock our podcast. I will be rocking this at this year's Royal Rumble, so you'll see pictures and videos and all of that good stuff for that. So don't forget that. Don't forget about our 12-hour stream and our interview with Nikita Koloff kicking off next year. It's going to be great, so don't forget about that. But unfortunately, but happily, I leave you with your favorite thing in the entire world.
Guys, thanks so much for everything. We will see you in 2022.
This podcast was a presentation of lightupmedia.fm.